The atmosphere was warm and inviting as Oprah welcomed Denzel Washington to her show, the audience rising in thunderous applause. Denzel smiled graciously, offering a few waves before settling into his seat opposite her. The early minutes of the interview flowed with charm, discussing his latest film, his family life, and his love for storytelling. Oprah, ever the seasoned interviewer, gently steered the conversation toward Denzel's personal beliefs. She inquired about his daily rituals, prompting Denzel to mention how prayer and scripture guided his decisions. The crowd listened attentively, some nodding along. But Oprah, raising a playful eyebrow, interrupted with a light chuckle, questioning whether someone so rational, so accomplished, truly relied on ancient books and invisible voices. The audience laughed nervously. Denzel's smile faded slightly. He blinked slowly, measuring his response. The tone of the conversation had shifted, and everyone could feel it hanging in the air like static. Denzel didn't flinch. He calmly replied that faith wasn't superstition but discipline, conviction, and connection to something higher than ego. Oprah smirked lightly, suggesting that Hollywood faith often felt like performance art. Her words, laced with irony, earned a few more chuckles from the audience. Denzel leaned forward, his voice dropping in pitch, firm but not angry. He said that mocking faith, any faith, was a dangerous road, especially on a platform that influenced millions. Oprah tried to soften the moment, offering that she was just teasing, meant no harm. But Denzel wasn't done. He reminded her that belief was personal, not performative, and for many people, including himself, it was the foundation that kept them grounded in chaos. The audience grew still. A silence settled in the studio. Oprah, for the first time in the conversation, didn't have a follow-up. Her usual poise cracked, if only slightly. Trying to regain momentum, Oprah pivoted, asking if Denzel ever questioned his faith. Denzel smiled and said, of course, faith without wrestling wasn't faith at all, it was fantasy. But he said each time he doubted, he found deeper truths, not emptiness. He began speaking about moments of despair in his life, times when fame couldn't help, when friends weren't enough, and only prayer gave him peace. He recalled a night during his early career when rejection nearly broke him, and the only thing that kept him going was Psalm 23. Oprah listened quietly. Her arms were folded, her brow furrowed not with skepticism but with reflection. She seemed unsure whether to challenge him again or simply absorb what he was saying. Denzel's tone remained steady, authoritative not because of arrogance but because of clarity. He wasn't preaching, he was sharing, and that made it all the more powerful. Then came the moment that stunned the room. Oprah, perhaps trying to recover control, joked that maybe God works harder for Oscar winners. It was a throwaway line meant to lighten the mood, but Denzel didn't laugh. He looked her dead in the eye and said, God doesn't care about awards, Oprah. He cares about what you do when nobody's watching. The audience gasped quietly. That single line, delivered without anger, without grandstanding, hit like a thunderbolt. Oprah's mouth parted slightly, and for the first time she seemed genuinely at a loss for words. Denzel continued, saying fame was fleeting, applause fades, but character is eternal. His voice didn't rise, but the weight of his conviction made it feel like the loudest moment of the show. The audience applauded softly, respectfully. It wasn't the kind of clap that follows a punchline. It was the kind that follows truth. Oprah finally found her voice and admitted she admired his steadfastness, though she personally saw spirituality as evolving beyond traditional doctrine. Denzel nodded, acknowledging that everyone's journey was different but emphasized that his wasn't just belief, it was obedience. He spoke of his father, a Pentecostal preacher, and how he'd once resented the rules but later realized the discipline gave him freedom, not limitation. He explained that every major decision in his life, career, family, charity, had been rooted in prayer. Oprah asked if that included rejecting roles. Denzel confirmed and added that he'd walked away from massive paychecks because they conflicted with his values. He said no amount of money could make him sell out his soul. The audience broke into applause, louder this time, affirming the courage of a man who knew his boundaries. Oprah smiled faintly, still silent. What followed next was entirely unexpected. A member of the audience stood up, unprompted, and thanked Denzel for speaking truth into the space. Others soon followed. One by one, individuals expressed how his words reflected their own internal battles with faith in a cynical world. Oprah, observing the groundswell, seemed visibly moved. She admitted on camera that moments like this reminded her why she started the show, to host real conversations, not just promote entertainment. Denzel smiled warmly and thanked her for the platform. He said it was never his intention to dominate the discussion, only to defend what shaped him. Oprah, blinking back what looked like moisture in her eyes, nodded. "You've done that," she whispered. The tone of the show had transformed. It was no longer about spotlight, it was about substance. The final minutes of the interview were marked by reflection. Oprah invited Denzel to share a quote that guided him. Without pause, he quoted Proverbs, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." He said it reminded him that intellect and success are nothing without humility. Oprah asked if he feared being labeled too serious or out of touch. Denzel laughed and said the truth was often inconvenient, and he had no fear of being misunderstood. "If you stand for everything, you fall for anything," he said. Oprah repeated the line softly, scribbling it on her notes. The audience, again, clapped, not out of obligation but out of genuine resonance. The credits were already rolling, but no one moved. Something significant had happened, and everyone knew it. As the show ended, social media lit up instantly. Clips of Denzel's quiet rebuke trended globally. People called it one of the most powerful moments on daytime TV in years. Articles, tweets, and think pieces poured in, some praising Denzel's courage, others critiquing Oprah's dismissiveness. But amid the discourse, one truth emerged. People were hungry for conversations of conviction. Denzel didn't argue. He didn't. Shame, he simply stood firm. Oprah, to her credit, later released a public statement praising Denzel for reminding her, and all of us, that the most difficult conversations are often the most necessary. She admitted the interview didn't go as planned, but said that's what made it important. For a media veteran like Oprah to say she learned something, that meant a lot. Weeks later, Oprah invited Denzel back, not for another interview, but to join a roundtable with young actors. The topic was integrity in the spotlight. Denzel spoke humbly, urging the next generation to protect their hearts in an industry that profits from distraction. Oprah, now more reverent in tone, asked deeper questions, no longer poking fun but seeking wisdom. The atmosphere was one of mutual respect. The clash had birthed a connection neither expected. What started as tension became testimony, and viewers, both old and young, found in it a rare example of public discourse done right, not through shaming or shouting, but through listening, standing, and choosing principle over applause. Looking back, that moment on live television became more than a viral exchange. It became a mirror, a reflection of how we often treat belief in public spaces. Oprah's mockery, however lighthearted, and Denzel's response, however measured, tapped into something deep and universal. The tension wasn't just between two celebrities. It was between the modern world's skepticism and the enduring power of faith. And Denzel didn't shout. He didn't scold. He simply stood his ground with grace. In doing so, he left not just Oprah speechless, but all of us thinking. Because sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that doesn't waver, even when the spotlight tries to shake it.